Hey, what's going on, everybody? David Noy with Speakeasy HR, presented by Payroll Partners. We are back for another episode 63, and it is cold here in Kentucky. And I have a guest that is all the way on the other side, literally, of the world from the Netherlands. Lisa Colledge, welcome to Speakeasy HR. How are you?
I'm pretty well, David. Thanks. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get through this without coughing and having to blow my nose too many times. But yes, I'm feeling well, even if my body is not listening to my feeling as much as I'd like it to.
Yeah, no, I think everybody over the last few months has gone through having some kind of sickness and cold. So my wife's right there with you. So definitely hope you feel better, and we'll get through this. We'll have some fun. So for people that don't know your background and kind of what you've been focused on, Lisa, tell us a little bit about your work and what you've been into.
Yeah, sure. I mean, let me introduce myself formally first. So I'm Dr. Lisa Colledge. That's my formal title, but we're going to go for Lisa from now on. So, and I work with organizations which are under sustained pressure to adapt. My focus with those organizations is about how we stop reacting in order to survive and how we can instead design proactively to be adaptable. I came to this via a very roundabout route and via a lot of different jobs. So I started off in academic research. I've worked in academic publishing, I've worked in product management and influencing, relations building, all kinds of stuff. But really the final stop in corporate before I set up on my own was learning about neurodivergence through my son, who's autistic. What I realized when I started to investigate what would neurodivergence mean in a corporate environment was that most organizations, I think all organizations, actually have cognitive diversity, so a lot of mix of thinking styles and ways of engaging with information of the people that work there. But what they lack is the infrastructure to really enable that talent, that cognitively diverse talent to connect together. And that's what brought me to this business and to this focus. So my work is about building neuro-inspired performance infrastructure, which means systems that enable people with all of these different ways of thinking, all of these different neurostyles to connect. And in doing so, as we'll talk about, they naturally become great at solving complex problems, which is another way of saying they become great at adapting under pressure. So there you go, a little bit about me.
Yeah, that's great. And you're in the Netherlands. So have you lived there your whole life? Where have you lived outside of there?
No, I'm British. I started off in Britain. I can't, when did I move here? I must have been 28, 27 or 28, something like that.
Okay.
I'm from the north of England, Yorkshire, best place over there, so as I'm concerned. But I moved to the Netherlands for a man. For everybody who's moved to countries, we call it the usual reason. It's the usual reason. I moved here for a Dutch man who I married, divorced, said I'd never, ever live with, or definitely not marry another Dutchman again. And now I'm married to a Dutchman with 2 Dutch children. So there you go.
All right. Well, good. So when you were growing up, what did you want to be when you were older? Was there a different interest? Like I wanted to be a marine biologist, which definitely that's not what I am now. So was there anything that you wanted to be when you were growing up in school?
I wanted to be a research scientist is what I wanted to be. I always loved science. I always found it fascinating. Just trying to take all of this complex, crazy things that you could see and make sense of them, try to structure them. And I gave it a good go. You know, I studied, I did do a doctorate, I did a postdoc as well. I had to admit in the end, it's not where my strength was, practical research. Reading about practical research, putting puzzles together, working with data in other ways, that's where my strength is. But actually doing the research, no. But that's what I wanted to do, but was not to be.
Okay.
Still, it got me here. I wouldn't be here without it. So
There you go. Well, good. Well, we are live on LinkedIn and YouTube. If you are watching live and have a question for Lisa on this topic that we're going to dive into, feel free to go into the chat and leave a message or a question, and we'll get to it. For those of you who are new to Speakeasy HR, welcome. My name is David Noe. I'm the host, producer, editor of this podcast. It's been an amazing journey, and I cannot wait to show you what else I have in store for this year and all the podcast guests that I have on most Mondays of the week or of the year. So every Monday, trying to bring new perspectives, new insights and topics. So if you are not following along on speakeasyhr.com, go out there. Latest blogs. I just did one today about my experience with Disrupt HR last week in Cincinnati. First time being at that event was awesome. I learned so much. Trying to speak on 5 minutes with 20 slides was very challenging, and I got through it, as did everyone else. So that was fantastic. If you're anywhere near a Disrupt HR event, I would strongly suggest going to one. They're a lot of fun. So, all right. Well, are you ready for the envelope icebreaker game, Lisa? This is one thing that I had started back when I first thought of a podcast, just to get to know people. So as we transition, think of a number 1 through 15, and we're going to get to your number here.
Yeah.
All right.
Ready. This is what I've been waiting for.
All right. 1 through 15. What do you got?
I'm going to start off with my daughter's age. She's 10.
10. All right.
So
we have number 10.
Right.
And it is, you're in charge of renaming HR. What's the funniest yet oddly accurate title you'd give it?
Oh my goodness. Funniest yet oddly accurate.
Whatever comes to mind.
It's not funny. It's not funny. But what I would like to rename HR is really reflecting what I think it should do, which is to enable talent, or talent enabling, or talent empowering, or something like that. As I said, not funny.
Yeah,
I'm really not a good person to be put on the spot for humor, but yeah, something like that. Okay, yeah. My daughter's in big trouble.
Yeah, no, that's great.
The second question, I was going to go with my son's age, but I'm kind of doubting now whether I should.
You want to do that one? We can do that one too.
Let's do that one. Let's do 8. He's 8.
Okay.
Give him one each.
All right, we'll do that. Number 8. We'll see which one you like more. Not that you have a favorite child.
No, absolutely not.
Okay. This one's good. What's your I wasn't expecting to love this moment in your career?
Actually, what I'm doing now, strangely enough.
Yeah.
One way of describing what I'm doing is neurodivergence inclusion. It's not how I tend to talk about it, because I see a lot of people turn off and they feel that it's not for them.
Yeah.
But it is one way of talking about what I'm doing. And I never really felt very attached to DEI initiatives, to be honest. I mean, now I know the reason. It's because I'm not a great fan of artificial targets and putting people in places when you haven't enabled them to succeed and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm quite surprised to find myself doing this now. Actually, it's a good question for number 8, because the reason I'm doing it is because my son's autistic. So there we go. Everything aligns. But yeah, I feel like everything inevitably brought me to this this moment here.
Yeah. It is something that I have found locally to start over the last couple of years becoming more of a conversation. And there is one particular individual. She started her own business locally, and all about neurodivergent situations with businesses. And so it is something that I have found becoming more of a focus, which is great. Yes. So there are other people out there like you that are focused on this. So it is really good to see. It's just something that I think in the past wasn't really, just like mental health and some of the other challenges that people are facing right now in the workplace, and hiring humans to do work is still challenging. There's times where it's just, you don't know what's going on with them outside of work, and everyone's got something going on. People are messy. And so the more you can help support them and really show them empathy, it's going to go a long way. So the other question that I typically try to get some input on from guests is about advice you've had along the way and what you've received. So in your career so far, what's maybe the biggest piece of advice you've received?
Um, Quite a few, no, it's not quite a few years ago, a few years ago, fewer than 10 years ago, I was really wondering, what should I do, or can I kind of move in this direction? Can I move in this direction? And I had some great advice from a lady called Else Bosma, and she said to me, Lisa, you can do it. You just need to convince yourself about it. And the way that you do that is to put yourself in situations where the things that you want to happen are able to happen. And it seemed like such an obvious thing to say at the time. It's like, but it's one of these brilliant, astounding, incredible pieces of advice that can change your life. So I just started to put myself in places where I needed to talk about enabling talent with different neurostyles, or connecting talent with different neurostyles, and how difficult that was sometimes, but how impactful it could be, what a massive difference it could make. I just put myself in those situations, and it was very, very daunting at the beginning. But quickly I built up my confidence that I really had something to contribute, and then you start to make connections, and people ask questions, and it helps you to think, and you start to read more things that you otherwise may not have found, and so one thing leads to another one. Yeah, here I am doing this now with a lot of connections, and confident in my knowledge, and confident in what I am bringing to this area. I think it probably would have happened without Elsa's advice, but I think it would have taken longer. I think maybe I would have been frustrated on the journey up to this point, because I felt when she said that to me and I started to do it, I felt like I'm not there yet, but I'm on my way. Right, I'm doing some things, and I think it was some brilliant advice. And I think everybody can put themselves in a place where things can happen. You just have to be patient, and allow them to happen, and then see them when they do, and jump on them. Really.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I always like to hear what people say about it, because everybody's answer is different. Everybody's answer has been different. So,
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, thanks for sharing a little bit about your background, and hopefully everybody that is just now listening to you for the first time is able to understand your background a little bit more and what you've been working on. So, a few messages from our sponsor, Payroll Partners, and then we're going to get into your topic here. So, hold on one second, and
Okay.
we'll be back here shortly.
Finding a new employee takes time and money. For one position on a single job board, you could easily spend a minimum of $5 to $10 a day advertising a job post. It's worth noting that the average time it takes to hire a new employee is 36 days. However, it can take longer than that. You could find yourself paying hundreds of dollars a month for a single job board. And if you're using multiple job boards for multiple positions, this could add up to thousands of dollars a month. There is a much simpler and more affordable way of finding the right candidate. At Payroll Partners, we offer an applicant tracking system to help manage your hiring process. Our ATS is customizable, allowing you to decide which days you want to run the job and when to close it so you don't break the bank. And this feature lets you e-blast your network, posting jobs on multiple boards at once, all managed in one location. Payroll Partners, elevating your payroll and HR experience.
Oh, we flipped. I don't know what
We
happened.
did. I was also just, there we flip back again.
There we go. I flipped us back. It's weird. So if you are in the market for new technology, new service provider for HR payroll technology, look us up, payrollpartners.net. We are obviously here to help businesses customize their technology to fit their needs. Every business has somewhat of the same challenges and pain points with their current, but let us know if we can help. Look us up, payrollpartners.net. Look me up on LinkedIn. We'll be happy to hear about your situation and see if we can help. So, Lisa, we've been talking for months, it feels like, since we had first got this on the calendar last year, and now we are here for episode 63. And just like everybody else, I try to find the topic that really will help people see your passion in your work and see your insights and knowledge that will help them get inspired and feel motivated in their work potentially. So your topic today, the the future ready by design, organizational adaptability as a North Star. So when you hear future ready by design, what does that actually look like inside an organization and not just on a slide deck?
Great question to get started. I'm just going to go on mute.
I'm so sorry. Hopefully you got while she goes to grab a drink of water, I do want to remind everybody for those of you who are new to Speakeasy HR, we have a whole community of podcasts that I am a part of. It's workdefined.com. I joined last year, and there are now 75 plus podcasts that cover payroll, HR, leadership, you name it. So take a look at workdefined.com. There's plenty of other great podcasts out there, just like Speakeasy HR, to help you learn and get engaged with your work even more with these great podcasts that are available. So look up workdefined.com, find Speakeasy HR, and you'll be able to see all the other podcasts out there. So I wanted to bring that up. So, Lisa, are you doing okay?
I think so. Let's see how we go.
It's
nothing
okay.
Nothing like a build up to my answer, is there, really?
Take your time. So back to the question that we had. So this is really about the future ready by design. And, what does that really look like inside an organization from your experience?
Unmute. Okay, yeah, it's a great question to get going. So these days, when change is our new constant, right, whether change is driven by technological advancements or socio-political events or generational changes and expectations like Gen Z increasingly entering our workforces, future ready means being adaptable. We have to be adaptable if we want to thrive. And I think that being good at being adaptable in a work context means that you need to be good at problem solving. When we look at the research about problem solving, you can see it needs two things. Excuse me, I hope you can follow me okay. I think we're safe. So yeah, research into problem solving shows that problem solving needs two things in teams that are really, really good at it. The first thing it needs is cognitive diversity. So this is different styles in how we engage with information, how we take information in, how we process information, how we think about it, how we communicate information back out again. There are some teams that are cognitively diverse that the researchers found weren't actually that good at problem solving, and those teams missed the second essential element. And that essential element was cognitive inclusion, which is the systems to connect those different neurostyles, those different cognitive styles together. You can imagine that when you're in a team with people who think differently to you, it's not natural to connect with them and to work easily with them. So there needs to be a good team system in place to allow people to do that. And that team system is cognitive inclusion. So cognitive diversity is like the raw material. Cognitive inclusion is the enabler to be able to use that raw material and be brilliant at problem solving and adapting.
Wow.
And most organizations have already got cognitive diversity. It's very difficult to think of an organization that doesn't. Very few have designed for cognitive inclusion.
Yeah.
So when we talk about future ready by design, it means that both of those elements, cognitive diversity and cognitive inclusion, are intentionally built into how the organization works.
So what signals tell you an organization is structurally adaptable versus just culturally optimistic?
Well, the short answer, and I'll give you a longer answer in a minute, but the short answer is that a good signal is that people often look happy when they're working.
Yeah.
Organization, they look engaged. They really just love doing what they're doing, and they're striving to do their best to deliver their organization's mission. That's a very strong signal that the organization is really designed to be adaptable instead of just hoping and crossing their fingers. So, they've got a high retention rate. It's quite easy for them to attract talent, even in this day and age. And people like working there, because they're doing good work. They like to do good work. They like to make a difference for their customers. That's a good signal that an organization is structurally adaptable.
Yeah.
If I give you the longer answer, organizations which are optimistic and they're crossing their fingers, they're often the organizations that say, we empower people, we embrace change, and they say it very loudly to the world. They broadcast it out to the world. And what I often hear people saying who work in them is that, yes, it sounds good and it looks good, but actually the actions inside the organizations don't match the talk. So when organizations really are structurally adapted instead of just hoping, I also see them talking, and then they're talking because they know that they need to involve that organization in learning how to be good at problem solving and learning how to be structurally adaptable. But the direction's more internal, to empower people instead of broadcasting to be seen as doing the right thing, and maybe you're not. They're probably doing things like measuring team performance rather than focusing on measuring individual performance, because they want to focus on the connectivity rather than the individual. They're probably rewarding collaboration quite explicitly, again, instead of individual performance. They're probably making it okay to experiment and to test things and learn from whatever happens, whether you would consider that a success or a failure, but just building that experimental mindset into their role expectations. So they're all good clues.
So where do companies get adaptability wrong? Processes, leadership, incentives, or mindset?
All of the above. All of the above. If you look at the literature, only about 10% of corporate organizations say they have even some of the skills that they need to be adaptable. And I think the most get it wrong by not looking at adaptability as a capability. They look at it as something else that you do after you've done your job today. They don't look at it as a capability or a core skill. But with what I described about the importance of connecting your cognitively diverse workforce in order to be good at problem solving, in order to be good at adaptable, you can see that companies which are adaptable need to be really good at brokering trust between people who are different. And that is something which you can build in as a capability. A few weeks ago, I read a report. It's called the Edelman Trust Barometer. And it had a couple of really shocking statistics in there to me. They're stuck in my head because I think they're just so appalling, actually, that I can't forget them. So the one of them is that 70% of people globally are unwilling or hesitant to even try to trust somebody who's different from them. And another statistic that shocked me was that 42% of people would rather change departments and report to a manager who has different values from them. I think it just goes to show you, how embedded a lack of trust has become in an organization and in organizations. And I think that organizations which don't look at that, or don't want to see it, don't investigate it, don't try to understand it, and don't think about what they can do to actually redress that problem, that's where they're getting things wrong. And that really cuts across everything that you just mentioned: processes and leadership and mindset and everything.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's awful, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a big problem, and I don't see nearly as much as what you do in your work, just because of my role. I see what goes on internally with our business, and for my current situation, we do have great people that trust each other, that work well together, collaborate, and it shows. We have people that enjoy their jobs, low turnover, high retention. And every time I have job openings, people are like, "Oh, I know someone great that would be for your opening." And it's great when like, yeah, I'm not in a full-time sales role in an HR function right now, but when I get people coming to me and saying, "Hey, I know someone that might be great for your job," it makes my job so much easier when I have people referring us their friends and their, people in their network to work potentially with us. So
Yeah.
everything you said, I agree with. On top of that, I think when people are struggling finding good people to hire, all of this that we're talking about makes job search, recruiting, talent acquisition easier for someone in that kind of role. So,
Yeah.
um, so where should leaders balance the stability and experimentation without creating chaos in their work?
Where should they balance it? Well, I think they need to create both, which can sound like a bit of a contradiction. And it was something that used to give me a headache and make me frown a little bit until I came across this great model, which is called freedom within a framework. And freedom within a framework is something that I talk about a lot, I write about it a lot, I think about it a lot. And I think it's a fantastic model to provide the balance that you're talking about. So freedom within a framework is about providing a very clear direction and very clear guardrails within which people should work. So where is it that we want to go? What is it that we want to achieve? What are the boundaries beyond which we are not going to step? What are our success metrics? How long have we got for this? What are the values with which we're working? All of that kind of stuff. It's defining the what, right? How do we work? The kind of framework that we're working in, right? The framework. So you define the framework, but within that framework, you don't tell people, and this is really tricky for leaders who were brought up before all of this crazy amount of change started. But within that framework, you don't tell people how to do the work. You let them work that out for themselves. So that is the freedom part within the framework. And when you think about what I talked about earlier in terms of how important it is to have people with different cognitive styles, different ways of looking at information, different ways of engaging with information and thinking about it and communicating it, you can see quite quickly how important it is to have the freedom to bring those different preferences, those different styles to your team if you want your team to be really good at solving problems and adapting. So freedom within a framework, I think, is a great balance, for this kind of question. I was at a summit a couple of weeks ago, and one of the questions which came up from quite a few people was, Lisa, you're asking leaders to be quite vulnerable in the way that they lead now. But leaders also need to set a direction. Like, where is the balance between being vulnerable and setting a direction? And again, I think it comes down to freedom within a framework. It's possible to set a direction without needing to know every single answer about how you're going to get there, without needing to know how you're going to do every tiny little piece of work that is going to take your team to that destination. I think that it's a great balance to say, we're going there. I don't know how to get there, but I know that we're going there, and I know how to lead you there. You, this team, I believe, has the collective genius to be able to find out the how we get there, the way that we get there. So again, I think it's always a really good way of balancing these seeming contradictions in whichever way people prefer to ask them.
Yeah, definitely. So if adaptability is the North Star, what metrics really actually matter and what should we stop measuring?
Yeah, I've got a couple of parts to my answer to this question, I think. So in my experience, metrics aren't usually the problem. Actually, it's the application of the metrics which is a problem. So the reason, though, that we get so focused on metrics is because they're such powerful signals about what's really, really important. they motivate how people behave. So if what we are measuring with our metrics and what we say we want are different, which they sometimes are in organizations, people will of course do what they're measured on, and you won't get the behavior that you want if you're not measuring it. So we need to ensure that our metrics are properly applied in support of what we're doing. So probably a lot of the metrics that you would see used in an organization which is not designed to be adaptable, an organization which is, are similar, but they will be applied in different ways. So for example, we might stop or do less of measuring individual brilliance in isolation and apply the same metrics more to team performance, or like cross-functional collaboration, or whatever you prefer to call it. There could be some new measures inserted, though. I don't think it's only about reapplying the old metrics. I just want to be clear that there's nothing necessarily wrong with the old metrics. We can just use them in different ways. But some new metrics or some new measures which can be valuable in this kind of working environment where you're really connecting with people who are different to you, are how many people will say that you are helping them to build their thinking, to amplify their thinking. Are you able to create space for disagreement? Are you able to create space for people to be different than you? Do you actually increase the collective speed to get to a problem solution and not decelerate it by clinging to your view of the world and resisting other inputs? So they're new kind of measures, and they're often survey based, or you can informally ask people who work with the person that you're evaluating. And I think they're useful new kind of measures to bring in.
That's great. What's one uncomfortable decision leaders must make if they truly want to design for the future?
I can't come to just one, David. It's hard. I think this has been in there in what I've been talking about. If we don't know what tomorrow is going to be like, we definitely don't know what next month is going to be like, what next quarter is going to be like. So I think being good at getting ready for the future is not about having control anymore, not about trying to have control, not about trying to put processes in place, not about telling your team how to work. And that acceptance that having control does not equal safety, having control does not equal great performance or growth or whatever you're measuring, that's a really difficult thing for many, many leaders to accept, and it can be very, very uncomfortable for them. I think I mentioned another one as well, which is being able to say, although I know where we're going, I don't know how to get there. That's also a really difficult thing to say. For some people, it can help to just say, I believe in this team, that together we know how to get there, and I do know how to lead you, and I do know where we need to go. But it can be hard to say that you don't know how to get there. Right. So this way of leading that I'm talking about, this very enabling way of leading, empowering way of leading, this way of connecting your team members instead of thinking you need to have all of the answers, that's quite confronting for a lot of leaders, especially leaders who've been brought up in the old style of leadership.
Yeah. So what role, and we can't go through, I feel like, a conversation without talking about technology and what's out there now and how it's ever changing all the time with those two letters. So what role does technology play in adaptability, and where can it quietly and where can it quietly undermine it?
Technology and those two little letters, AI, in my experience, they just amplify what you're doing. So when I really started to pay attention to this, I was talking with somebody who was working as quite a senior leader in a team which they didn't find was very connected. They didn't find was very adaptable, actually. And what this leader said to me was, Lisa, AI doesn't fix anything. It just amplifies what's already there. So for the people in this team that are already struggling, AI just makes them struggle more. And for the people in this team who happen to be able to survive in it and thrive a bit in it, AI just lets them get further ahead of everybody else. So AI and technology, what this leader was saying, is just amplifying the working styles that are already present. It's not doing anything different. It's making them bigger. Yeah. And I've kept that in mind when I've been working on this with people, and that's actually a brilliant description of what I've seen every single time. So if your system is all about trying to force people to be the same, to see the same things from data, to think the same way, to present the same way, AI is just going to make it do more of the same. But if your system is actually trying to capture ideas and capture input from people who think differently, if it's trying to allow people who might be quiet and nervous of speaking up to share their ideas in some way, if that's what your system is trying to do, then AI is going to amplify your efforts to do that with your system. So I think it's not magic. It doesn't bring in anything that's not already there. It just makes what is there and what you're trying to do bigger.
Right. So how do you build systems that evolve without burning out the people inside of them?
I build those systems with by employing neurodivergence inclusion as the mechanism, as the framework to help people who are different to work together. So when I work with organizations, what we're designing, what we're building into their working systems is a system that's able to absorb change, unexpected change, shocks, by connecting people with different speeds of processing and different preferences in how they communicate and different cognitive strengths. A different way of describing this cognitive diversity is neurodiversity. I mentioned it right at the beginning with my son, who's autistic. So what I am talking about is employing neuro-inclusion as the core capability of making an organization adaptable. So how does that work? Well, I've described how important it is to attract people who are different, to be good at problem solving, and to connect those people who are different. And if we think about our different thinking styles, the people amongst us who are most different are neurodivergent people, maybe autistic or dyslexic or ADHD or any number of other different neurodivergences. But those people have got extreme versions of traits that we all share. And what I have learned over the last several years is that when we design to enable the extreme, when we design to enable neurodivergent people, we automatically create an organizational operating system where people with all different neurostyles, whether we are neurodivergent or neurotypical or introvert or extrovert, or however we prefer to describe ourselves, where all of us can consistently contribute whatever we're good at, and we can do that productively, and we can do that in a healthy way as well, healthy for our brains, for our mental health.
Yeah.
So I describe my approach as neuro-inspired performance infrastructure. I don't want to talk about it as neurodivergence inclusion only, because it's actually beneficial for everybody, not only neurodivergent people. So it's neuro-inspired performance infrastructure. And what we're doing is adapting how we work. We're not adding something extra on, as people often think a DEI initiative is. So you do, when you do your day work and then you have your DEI initiative on top. This is about replacing habits which may have worked okay in a stable world with habits that are much better suited for this world that we live in now, which is not stable. It's constantly changing. Who knows what's going to be happening next week or next month. So it's about replacing habits with new habits which are better suited and actually make work much easier for us. and much more fun and much more healthy for us.
Hmm.
So that's how we avoid burning people out. We make work much more fun, and it's not extra. It's replacing old stuff with things that are better suited for the way that we need to work these days.
That's great. I love that. Okay, so 5 years from now, last question here. 5 years from now, what will separate organizations that intentionally designed for adaptability from those that didn't?
They'll be thriving. That's that's a pretty easy answer. In my for my business, I've developed a marketing tagline, which is outpace, outperform, and outlast. And that's what I'm trying to convey with this tagline, that if you do this, if you build in the capability to be really good at problem solving, to be adaptable, to be resilient now, then you will outpace, outperform, and outlast your competitors who are not going to do this. So yeah, undesigned organizations that don't bother to put their heads in the sand and ignore things, they're going to continue to depend on a few brilliant people who will increasingly be carrying more and more as they try to drag their organizations through this crazy change that we're all experiencing constantly now.
Yeah.
And those people are going to be getting more and more burnt out and probably more and more cynical as their workload just increases.
Yeah.
But organizations which say, okay, we need to change something now, we need to take a look at our systems, the world is changing, let's change our systems with them, start to attract a mix of talent, start to think about how can we actually upskill people to be able to connect with people who are different from them, which is not something we do naturally. This is something which our bodies see as danger, but we can learn to do it. Organizations which invest in that are going to be good at problem solving and adaptable, and they're going to have people, as you say, David, who like working there, who recommend to their friends to come and work there, who enjoy solving the problems and bringing benefits to their customers and helping their organization to deliver their mission and to grow. Those are the organizations that are going to still be here thriving.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, if you are looking at trying to be one of those organizations in 5 years and you need some help, Lisa's here for you because she is offering a lot of different services to organizations. So Lisa, tell us a bit about the website and some of the things that you've been focused on right now, and what people are able to contact you to get some more service from you.
Yeah, of course, David. So I know that I've shared a lot here. I know that it's a lot to take in. And of course, I do offer services to break this down and to make it risk-free and stepwise and so on for you. But I think that the people who are still with us at this point in the podcast are very thoughtful people. I think they're brave people considering doing things differently on this level. And I think they're also thinking, yeah, this makes sense, but I want to learn a bit more. So I want to respect that you're thinking that, and I want to enable you to explore a bit more what it really means to design neuro-inspired systems to get even better at being adaptable under pressure. So the best place, as David mentioned, that you can see that I unpack this thinking is on my website. So if you visit the mission page of my website, lisacolledgeconsulting.com, I've designed that as a great place for you to learn a bit more. And of course, if you would like some help to find the material which is most relevant to you, you can absolutely feel free to reach out to me. My email address is on the website as well. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I will help to find the right information to help you answer your questions.
Absolutely. Lisa, this has been great. I'm so thankful that we were able to have the conversation today. Hope you feel better, and let's certainly keep in touch. So if you want to learn more about Lisa, connect with her and check her out on LinkedIn. Definitely worth following if you are not. So again, Lisa, thank you so much for your time. This has been fantastic, and I always learn from people that I have on the show. So hopefully we'll stay in touch. And everybody out there, appreciate you checking out our episode today. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll be back in 2 weeks. So episode 64, and a whole nother topic, whole nother guest, another one from another part of the world outside of the United States. So take a look at that. So Lisa, thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, David.
Take care.
Bye.